Y'all wanted the deeper dive into the biology of male attraction, so here we go. Remember how in Bio 101, we learned how genetic mutations randomly occur within individuals and that a species' success is contingent upon successful reproduction. Someone who understands those statements might infer that it is totally natural for men to be attracted to younger women because women are at peak fertility between 14 and 20, and they might think that that is a scientifically grounded worldview about men. But while both of those initial Bio 101 statements are true, like most science, when you go a little deeper or wider, you see that they're only kinda true. Or maybe they're true in a very small way, but actively misleading when you try and extrapolate from them alone without context. To elaborate, let me introduce Apis mellifera, the honeybee. Honeybees have three expressions: queens, who are female, drones, who are male, and workers, who are female. But the entire bee reproductive cycle occurs between the queen and the drones. Without getting off into the weeds of extremely rare exceptions, worker bees never reproduce. If our Bio 101 statements of mutations occur randomly in individuals and species success is contingent upon successful reproduction were the whole story, how could worker bees possibly exist? They have no reproductive function. They don't pass on genetic code. Our Bio 101 students would say that they're an anomaly, a useless genetic dead end that does nothing for the success of the species, just a freak mutation. But here's the thing. Bees are collective, so their individual success can only occur within their social setting. And worker bees, while they don't reproduce, play a key role with their social setting. They're the ones who tend and feed the young. They're centrally necessary for the success of the collective, which makes them necessary for the success of any individuals within the collective. Worker bees are an amazing example of this because they're functionally an entire third gender within the social order of bees that's wholly removed from the genetic cycle. Species with individual survival tactics are pretty rare. Spiders are a good example. They only come together to mate and then they live or die alone with no community support. But humans are not like spiders. Our evolutionary strategy and the evolutionary strategy of all our ancestors for millions of years has been cooperative, collective. Our individual success is contingent upon the stability and health of our communities. The image of these lone wolf survivalists is scientifically complete fiction. Even wolves don't do that. Young males might travel sometimes to find a new pack, but they're not trying to live the rest of their lives alone. There's no such thing as a lone wolf. Or if a wolf is alone in perpetuity, it's failing. So human reproductive success is not an individualistic affair. Like bees and most other animals, it is cooperative and community-based. And this means that when we take that Bio 101 mentality, that passing on genes is all that matters, we're thinking like a spider, not like a human. And by trying to extrapolate from this very narrow, elementary biological fact into a whole ideology or worldview, we're blinding ourselves to the actual nature of our species and therefore blinding ourselves to ourselves. It's the equivalent of someone saying, well, quantum location is kind of random, so I can do whatever I want. No, man. Our communities are, and always have been, built on stable connections, mostly pair bonding. Statistically, our communities aren't really made up of individuals, they're made up of families. And the more stable and healthy the bonds within a family are, the more stable and healthy the community is. And the more healthy the community is, the healthier the next generation of individuals are, so the more likely they are to successfully reproduce. Remember that successful reproduction for humans doesn't mean getting pregnant. It takes like 15 years and an unimaginable amount of work from an entire community to make a viable human. We're not spiders who can just lay an egg and walk away. Without stable community support, getting enough humans through puberty to make a viable population would be completely impossible. It takes like 20% of our entire life expectancy to successfully raise one kid. Do you have any idea how bizarre that is in nature? It is just unheard of. Even elephants only tend their young for like a tenth of their lives, and they're considered the extreme outliers of extended parenting. Humans are just off the charts, and the only reason it's possible is because we use our whole village to raise the young. Now that you've got that, take a second and ask yourself this question. Do you believe that a human community is more stable and healthy when 80-year-old men are spending their time fantasizing about and trying to sleep with teenage girls? For those of us who aren't profoundly wounded, we can see how that dynamic is actively harmful to the community. It's harmful to the women, it's harmful to the social fabric and the society in the village, and it's harmful to the old men. It is unnatural. Since we now understand that we're cooperative, we can see how old men predating on children actively endangers the entire species' probability of success. Unnatural. We're all taught that our sexual preferences are pure nature, untouchable, unalterable biology. As a biology teacher and a man, let me just clarify that that is complete horseshit. There have been cultures all over the world where very large bodies were considered the most sexy, and where very slim bodies were considered the most sexy. Literally every body type has been considered sexy by some people at some time and culture. So when you hear, for example, white people say that, oh, they're just only attracted to other white people, most of us can immediately recognize that as just internalized racism, because we actually know that attraction is culturally taught. But for those white people, they feel it as biology, and if you were to test them physiologically, they would almost certainly respond with more excitement attachment to white bodies. That doesn't make their romantic racism natural. It just means that their learned value set has a physiological expression. In the exact same way, there is nothing about a 23 or an 18 or a 14-year-old body that is inherently more attractive than a 30 or a 50-year-old's. Nothing. But men in our culture have been aggressively conditioned through every TV show, magazine, corn, modern male culture to sexually idealize youth. Do you know why you've been taught that women with zero hair are sexier? It's because they look like children. Do you honestly think it's natural for full-grown adult men to be attracted to hairless, prepubescent girls? When you step back and look at that, can you start to see how wildly problematic it is that we're taught that? There's obvious reasons. It reinforces male dominance. Men dating much younger women gives those men more control over those women, lets them manipulate them more easily. Healthy adult men want balanced relationships with healthy adult women close to our own age. It's truly amazing that that's a radical statement, that healthy adult men want healthy adult women. Just think about the fact that that's controversial and how problematic that is. Anyway, this wildly unnatural normalized pedophilia also makes it really easy to sell women all kinds of products to look prepubescent, which is very lucrative. And it allows the whole culture to ignore the voices of middle-aged and older women because they're now low value. It also harms men, leads us to idealize a life stage that is inherently less mature than we should be, devalue our own bodies, and devalue the bodies of our similar-aged partners. It makes literally everyone's lives worse, and in doing so, it harms families and the social fabric of our society in wildly deleterious ways. And it's all built on a profoundly unnatural lie. Men, you want to know what's natural biologically? It's natural for you to find a stable pair bond and be a healthy and loving partner, safe parent, and safe elder to everyone in your community. And that means not sexualizing children and very young women, even in your head, no matter what the culture has told you. You want to know what's biologically grounded? It's being mature and healthy enough to see your partner's hotness as she ages. It's seeing women your age as attractive and yourself as attractive, whatever age you are. That is healthy pro-social role modeling and community engagement, which promotes the success of the species. It's allowing yourself to grow beyond the nonsense pedophilia that's been shoved down our throats all our lives, that most men spend our whole lives choking to death on and harming those close to us along the way. As a science teacher, I'm telling you, scientifically, you're supposed to be in a stable, safe, healthy, community-minded relationship, not a creepy old predator fantasizing about children. That's not biology, and anyone who's trying to sell you that as science is wounded and wounding you and your community. They're blinding you and stealing from you the beauty of watching your attractions grow and mature as you grow and mature. I get that we've been force-fed this for so long that it feels overwhelming, but thankfully you have an amazing tool to reprogram your sense of attraction. If you want to become a healthier man and get your sense of attraction out of the hands of the nonsense, harmful system that we all grew up in and into a more mature and healthy version of yourself, it's super easy. Take it out of their hands and put it into yours. When you love yourself, just start fantasizing about imaginary women your age. If you're not at a place to stop watching corn yet, that's the best. But even if you're not there, at least switch to watching more ethically produced corn, specifically starring women your age. Maybe that'll take some getting used to, but remember that this is your choice. You can choose to stay harmfully attracted to children and become a creepy old man, how the corn industry wants, or you can choose to mature and heal that part of yourself that has been artificially restricted by a system that is harming all of us and holding you back. Who you find attractive is entirely up to you, and as such, it is your responsibility to shape your attractions in a healthy way, and I promise it'll make you feel better. If you're still wondering whether this is natural, just try this for a few months and watch yourself heal and grow. You'll be able to feel how much more healthy, natural, honest, and safe you feel when your attractions are aligned with your age. And you won't need to wonder anymore about what's natural because you'll actually know, unlike all these guys trying to use words like natural and biology to justify learned pedophilia. And now that you know this, men, you have an obligation. You have a duty to remember this when you hear other men reiterating the unnatural, anti-scientific nonsense that men of all ages should be attracted to children. You have a duty to help them understand reality a little better, and to help your whole community heal from these lies. When we talk about the birds and the bees, let's actually talk about the bees, and how they demonstrate that individuals passing on genetic code is not the end of the scientific perspective on attraction. It's about community stability, healthy roles, and letting our attractions grow and shift as we grow and shift.